Our meeting of June 9th is now in session. We also have Dinah present by phone. Hello, Dinah.
Hello.
Hello, there you are.
Hi, Dana.
Hello.
I call this meeting to order. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move we approve the agenda as prepared.
Do you want to add an HR addendum?
I would like to add that HR addendum. So I move that we approve the agenda as prepared and to include the HR addendum.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was not on mic. Would you like that again?
Sure.
I move that we approve the agenda as prepared with the addition of the HR addendum.
Nicely done.
I'll second that.
Approved and second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Any staff reports? Dr. Gross?
Nothing at this time.
Dr. Augrey?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. Brock?
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Anne Marie?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Dr. Schatz?
No, I don't really have anything. I'll be addressing the board with the strategic plan.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you. Consent agenda, is there a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second? Moved in second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Say no. Consent agenda is approved. Ratification of the FEA board contract. You have in your packet the contract that has been negotiated and ratified by the teachers. This is unchanged from when it was brought to you previously. I would entertain a motion to approve, and then if there's any remaining discussion, we can have it at that time.
I'll move approval of the contract as provided in memo number 138.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. Any discussion? Anne Marie, roll call, please.
Goldenberg,
Yeah.
Johnson,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Paulson,
Yes.
Strand,
No.
Boyd.
Yes, thank you. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone who was involved in that process on both teams. Next, we have strategic plan approval. I would assume, Dr. Schatz, you're going to lead the discussion on this?
Sure. Thank you. As you know, last week, or the last board meeting, we brought to you the first draft of the strategic plan. And what we present to you tonight is the strategic plan for your approval with some of the minor adjustments that we made with the feedback that we received from you as board members. There was some wordsmithing that we fixed. One area that I would bring your attention to would be the, I will find it here in just one moment. Okay, if you go to page 13, Jim, you had made a comment about making sure we recognize the work that we do with college and universities, so we did add that section. And so that is reflecting mostly current practice, but also continued relationships with the universities with regard to teacher preparation programs. One thing that we have developed and will be implementing next year is a new teacher leadership academy with North Dakota State University. We have 20 teachers who have signed up for that. That's the first time around with that. And really a program to help develop leadership amongst teacher groups. And so that is the first cohort. So you'll see in the indicators of success or results, we're already working on that. And then, as you can see, we just added that to that area. So, which, go ahead. Yep.
Microphone, please.
Assuming this is a typo under the indicators of success or results, in the first bullet point, we have a local college DED advisory committee meetings.
Yeah, we should probably change that.
I'm thinking that might be lead advisory. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
dean advisory, because the deans of the university. So I will make sure that change is made. Good catch. There's a lot of words in the document.
Yeah, I know.
There's got to be
I'm a
one
fast
that I
reader.
missed. So, and then on page 16, too, recruitment outreach efforts, we did include the word expand our efforts, best candidates at all levels, and recruit a diverse applicant pool for all openings. So we did include that in there. So at this point, we are prepared to present this to you as our strategic plan and offer this to you. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. If not, we look for approval.
John?
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Education approve the strategic plan as presented by the administration.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the strategic plan. Any discussion? Yes, Rebecca?
I just wanted to say that, again, I'm so excited about adding the arts into that, I believe it's, Initiative 2. And as a graduate of NDSU, I receive the NDSU magazine. And maybe others of you do as well. But the recent issue, the spring 2015 issue, talks about NDSU as a land-grant institution and the purpose of incorporating arts and humanities into, or to make a full-rounded education. And there are 2 articles in the magazine that really illustrate the importance of bringing in the arts and the humanities, again, for this education. And I was reading this magazine this weekend. I was just like, I was sucking all of this information in and thinking about our strategic plan and how the work that has been done by this this group of community citizens on our strategic plan has brought this philosophy of arts into our school system. And so I wanted to read a couple of quotes. I could read the entire article right now, or articles, but I won't. But I mean, they were very inspiring. And I probably will not pronounce this professor's last name correctly, but Peter, it's O-D-U-O-R, Odur. He's an associate professor of geology at NDSU. And so he talks about blending art and science together. And this quote is, it says, quote, "I tell all of my students, take theater classes. They learn things that they can't learn anywhere else. It's where physics comes to life." And so there is lots of commentary in these 2 articles that reflect exactly this language. And so I just wanted to say again how pleased I am, and I think we're at the K through 12 level, we're doing what we can do to help get our kids ready for, their future, whether it's at a land-grant college or a tech school or whatever they do, but we have that commitment, so it's great to see.
That's great. And, if you would lend Anne-Marie your magazine for a day or so, and she could scan that and send it to us, I think that'd be great to see. Thanks for sharing that with us. Any other? John?
Madam Chair, members of the board, I think Dr. Schatz and you and your administration, I'm looking back to when you were interviewing for the position of superintendent, and things like a long-range facilities plan, long-range strategic plan, long-range financial plan were the planks of your application. Besides all the other criteria you brought and credentials you brought to the table, and while the public might not see all of the work and behind-the-scenes effort that went into the creation of this plan, it's so significant, and the legacy of creating a living document and a dynamic plan that will keep evolving through time, but has contemporized the district. I just hope you know the appreciation for you and your team for fulfilling what you said you were setting out to do when you said I'd be happy to be superintendent of the district.
Anyone else? Well, I'll just add to the kudos and say that we are so appreciative of your leadership and the style in which this was put together. Thanks for all your good work. So, we did have a motion and a second on this. This was discussed. Okay, roll call, please.
Johnson.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Strand.
Yes.
Goldenberg.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes. Motion carries. Now we have assignment to the canvassing committee, and I'll be presenting this instead of Robin, who would normally present this as Chair of Governance. But in our policies, it states that we will have a committee of board members not currently serving as officers who will canvass all the board members willing to serve. And so we do have a committee of three, Dinah Goldenberg, Jim Johnson, and John Strand. And Dinah had passed word along to Robin that she would be amenable to chairing. So I will then appoint her as chair, and I'll leave it up to the three of you to find a time to meet. So thank you for agreeing to serve in that capacity. We're on to EL 10. You have that in your packet with quite a few comments, and typically these are taken as direction and guidance by staff and governance. Does anyone have anything to add that is not included in the written comments? Hearing none, I'll call for a motion to approve. Paul?
I move we approve the monitoring report EL10, Communication and Counsel to the Board.
Second.
Second, thank you. Motion and second. Any discussion? Do we need a roll call on this, Anne Marie?
Knutson?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Paulson?
Yes.
Strand?
Yes.
Goldenberg?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Boyd?
Yes. Thank you. Brings us to policy changes. At this month's governance committee meeting, your committee suggested two policy updates that we'll be looking at today. The first one has to do with, what's the word I'm searching for? Operationalizing the school visits that have evolved from several years ago when they were put forth as different ways to do direct student engagement with board members, to their more current form, which has become more of a professional development exercise for board members ourselves, where we spend more intense, structured time rather than just a drop-in liaison visit, but one that is set up with the school staff. It involves a half or a full school day at the schools that we're assigned to. So rather than having the communications committee continually reinvent the wheel or tweak the wheel every year, it was suggested that we simply put this into our policy, that this is simply part of our annual liaison assignments, and that as board members, we will make those appointments with our liaison schools and keep doing this as part of our work as board members. So I'd entertain any questions you might have on this or a motion.
Linda?
Jim?
I move we adopt the changes as provided in memo number 136 to GP-2E.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Great. Anne Marie, roll call, please.
Myers?
Yes.
Paulson?
Yes.
Strand?
Yes.
Goldenberg?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Boyd?
Yes. Thank you. And then we also had a change or tweak to the language on our travel reimbursement. And those changes are before you. Pretty self-explanatory. I would entertain a motion to approve that change. Jim?
I move we adopt the changes as provided to us in memo number 137 to GP-14.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thanks, John. Any questions or discussion? Thank you. Anne Marie, please.
Paulson?
Yes.
Strand?
Yes.
Goldenberg?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Boyd?
Yes. This is making me look really good as chair here. We're not even to our first break. We are already to board reports. Well, I know I spoke too soon and just jinxed the whole thing. Paul, we'll start with you.
I have nothing to report tonight.
David?
I have nothing to report.
Rebecca?
Well, I do have a few things to highlight. 3 graduations attended. I wanted to talk about the opportunity to attend the 3 graduations. The Clara Barton 5th grade graduation, which was, well, they're all emotional graduations, but 5th grade is emotional, obviously. I do have to say that my 2 girls did graduate from 5th grade at Clara Barton. So, the Woodrow Wilson graduation ceremony, which I had heard from so many, or, people that have been on the board for a while, that was really one to have an experience to attend. So I'm happy that I did that, and I loved the fact that the graduates have the opportunity for an open mic. Some of them, I saw one take a selfie, and some of them elaborated a little bit more on their experience at Woodrow and what it meant to them and their families, and others gave a quick thank you, and they're on their way to what they're going to be doing next. But it was really, really exciting to be there. And then also to serve at Fargo South graduation to help hand out those diplomas. It was a great experience as being a new board member, definitely a highlight. Thank you.
Thank you, that was great. I have to second all those remarks. There's nothing like a good graduation. John?
Madam Chair, I'll chime in on the Woodrow graduation is just a phenomenal experience, and to be part of that, as Linda and I were, is a distinct honor, and the excitement of the family and the people in the open mic is something you just don't ever forget. That's one of the most profound measures of our contribution to the community is having that alternative community education opportunity for people in Fargo's district. Regarding the Native American Commission, they've rescheduled their meeting, but there'll be some changes coming in their membership soon. There's people stepping down and retiring out, and that's evolving soon. But just to put it on your radar, they're really enthused about their involvement with the police picnic on June 16th, and that's a community-wide event. So if any of you are inclined to go to the police picnic on the 16th, I believe it's at Island Park. And that's an invitation to the broader community. GAC, my third and final note is GAC met the other day on Wednesday at noon, 11:30, and our final meeting of the year, being as we're going into reorganization in July. We had a legislative follow-up led by Robin, our president, and Brock, who really probably ushered us through the smoothest year of legislative interaction that maybe's happened in years, at least in the last 7 years. And they were acknowledged significantly for that, and our successes were pretty good in almost every regard. We're on one other note with regard to legislature, we're going to draft, we've sent a rough draft, maybe it was too short, just an acknowledgement of our local legislators for relationships and keeping those relationships open and the access we have to them. We had a discussion about being as we're no longer going to the Federal Relations Network in Washington. We have our congressional delegations coming home in July and August, and we're via Anne Marie's office reaching out to see if we can have more of a localized, informal connect with our 2 senators and 1 congressman. And the sense I got is the reception to that idea is very, very positive. Even though we have folks, these elected officials at our district, commonly, this would be of a little different nature than just going to a school or going to an event. It would be, and there were some suggestions to involve the principals, administration, maybe a picnic, but we'll see. But that's a topic that we're trying to redirect what we had done through FRN and bring it home to our district locally. A brief discussion at GAC about the joint meetings of the park, the city, and the school, whether there's 3 or 2, and we're reaching out to them to confirm if the park district's holding the next meeting. Anne Marie's nodding her head, yes.
I sent out a doodle poll to you guys today to take. The park district is looking to schedule that next meeting, so you have some dates to look at in your email.
Of course, you're already ahead of that. But so that's the final point in our GAC meeting from Wednesday.
Thank you, John. Jim?
A couple things to report on. Not sure what all is going to happen, but apparently we're having a special board meeting of the SEEC tomorrow night. I have a feeling it has to do with a budget adjustment they're going to try and get in before they close out this particular budget year. Some staff compensation issues to address for the people that really picked up the load while Kyle was playing state senator and really probably functioning about 20% as the exec director during those 3 or 4 months. At least I think that's what it's going to be about. If it turns out to be something else, I'll report that at the next meeting. State School Board just had their summer meeting yesterday and Sunday. We talked a little bit about what happened in the legislature, started the process of talking about resolutions we might want to bring back to the General Assembly this fall. State GAC committee will be meeting in August. Usually in the off year, there really aren't a whole lot of resolutions that come forward, but there may be 1 or 2 that come through the GAC committee or the state board. And of course, local districts may submit something too. We did approve the budget for the coming year, pretty much minor increases. Everything was actually, if we spend everything that they've put into the budget, we'll have about an $11,000 surplus for the year. Talked a bit about the fall conference. Apparently, and Paul, you'll have to be there to really be the judge of this. They think they found the North Dakota version of, and I'll mispronounce his name, Jim Spaloza. They found the North Dakota version, so they're, yeah. So they're going to try and get into the world of social media and Googling, and who knows what that'll bring. We'll see how that goes. We are once again going to be doing a Thursday-Friday conference, no Saturday. I think that was well received last year. And they've started the process of lining up some presenters. If anybody has any great ideas for a program, feel free to get them to me. We already have 2 or 3 that are coming out of Fargo. Apparently Chris Potter, our SRO officer, is going to be putting on a program on SROs. And there was another one that, as I looked at it, I was pretty sure we had our fingers all over it. Not coming to memory right now what that one was. At the law seminar, they're looking at a variety of topics. Maybe some of ours will show up in the law seminar as well. Kind of hand in hand with what John just shared on our local board's decision on FRN. I think the state is going to take a pass on FRN this coming year as well, unless something really compelling shows up in the agenda, and take the same approach we're taking, but a little different, and that is going to be reaching out to the congressional delegates and finding a time on their calendar for us to just go out and see them, as opposed to wasting all the money on conference registrations and 3 nights in a conference hotel and little or no interfacing half the time with the actual congressional delegates. So we'll see how that all goes. There was a fair amount of discussion about at least researching a kind of a new marketing initiative for the North Dakota State School Board. And there's maybe 2 or 3 things that motivated this to get to the table as a topic. But the whole thrust of it is to explore with the higher ed, the new chancellor in particular, local business leaders, chambers, what we can do to encourage more young children, more high school graduates in particular, to think about going into education as a career path. One of the things that, be it factual or fictitious, it's certainly a perception, is that the teaching profession, the education profession, because it includes administrators, principals, is not a career field to go into if you're wanting money. We constantly hear that North Dakota ranks 47th, 48th, 49th. All of this is, of course, incorrect data, because it doesn't look at the totality of what people in the education profession, K-12 in particular, end up with for their entire compensation package. Components like retirement, which can be very valuable. So they're going to really search out some community engagement and then hopefully come up with an idea or 2 with a price tag of what it would cost to really do a statewide marketing effort to encourage young people to get into education, in part to address the shortage that we're seeing in many parts of the state. I don't think we sense that quite as much in Fargo because we have the local universities giving us a plethora of college graduates that usually would like to apply for a job. But I think it goes hand in hand. You know, I kind of jokingly said, well, we're constantly talking about career, and college ready, and making sure that we're doing things in K-12 education to provide the workforce that the state needs for the future. Well, part of that workforce has got to be the people that work in K-12 education, and we really haven't done a very good job of promoting that idea. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with and what the price tag comes with that. That'll probably be something that gets discussed with the general membership at the fall meeting, if all the research and legwork has been put together before then. Planning met earlier this morning to take a look at where we're sitting in our budgets right now. There's still work to be done on a number of them. We talked about whether or not we were really going to be prepared to bring the preliminary approval for the budgets at our second meeting here in June. I won't say that's not going to occur, but I'm not overly optimistic. There are a couple of moving parts that are out there, and Brock and his team need to narrow a couple of areas to get us into a balanced budget mode. So most likely we'll be seeing it at the July meeting. But you never know. Things could progress that we'll feel comfortable bringing it at the second meeting in June. We also got a preliminary look at what they have sketched out as the estimated cost for the addition that we're putting on the Eagles building. And as you may recall, we took a motion to direct the administration to move forward with a plan to convert that building to a K-5 building with a price tag of approximately $9 million or less. Less is always good. Unfortunately, the preliminary estimates are coming in a little higher. Now, the bids haven't come in, so it's too early to say for certain. But we may be looking at closer to $9.5 million if the current estimates are correct. The bids, I think, are going to be opened on the 18th, so we'll certainly have them to look at our next meeting. If it obviously comes in at that $9 million or less, we're all going to be pretty happy. If it comes in at $9 million or more, we're going to have to take a look at it and decide, can we afford it? From what I heard this morning, and we had both the construction manager and the architect there, there isn't a lot of sense that there is a lot of things that could be taken out of the plan to dramatically change what they have for a cost estimate right now. One of the reasons it's coming in a little higher than was preliminarily ballparked is the site work is a little more extensive than they had originally anticipated. For a couple of reasons. I think you might all recall we have to elevate the site for the addition to meet with whatever the standard is. I'm not sure the height right now, but whatever the city has set. But the city also came to the table and said, you've got to have increased water retention, something that site really hadn't had a concern about before. And just clearing the area that is the existing parking lot is a little more expensive than just moving the dirt, for instance, that we did when we built Ed Clapp. So probably about $400,000 or so of what they now think the estimate is that's above the $9 million mark that we started with is related to the site work itself. The other differential was in the electrical. Apparently, that's a combination of not only the product and the pricing for copper at this point in time, but also what they see going on in that particular trade. But they were also optimistic that the timing of this project may lead some of the contractors to put in a pretty aggressive bid, where summer work is at a premium to get anybody to do. This project's timing and staging gives most of the trade areas the opportunity to have a winter project because it will hopefully, by the time we get to the dead of winter, be an enclosed structure that they can work in. So they were optimistic we might see the bids in some areas come in lower than they've got targeted. Of course, they could come in higher too. So that's a work in progress. We'll see what comes of that. I had to leave a little bit before the end of the meeting, so I didn't stay for the final budgets we were going through. The ones that I'm familiar with were the general fund budget, where we're still working to get it to a balanced point. And we talked a bit about the special assessment budget. We have a number of new specials that are going to come on to the district because of Ed Clapp. Some of those are known at this point in time. Some of those will probably be known later this month as the park board and the school district really kind of sift through the portion that is applied to the actual park property and now the school district property to figure out the percentage share each of us will have of that. We also have a fairly significant special assessment still on the Blue Stem facility. And we had a discussion about whether or not we might want to pay those off to alleviate ourselves of the interest expense. I think at the end of the day, at least from a planning committee perspective, we're going to be thinking that's definitely a money saver for the district because those specials currently come, I want to say, with a 6.5% interest rate, which is just a few points above what we're getting on our money in the bank right now. So we think paying off the known ones we know right now will be about $200,000 in savings over the life of the special assessments. The unknown one that's going to get sorted out between the park board and us probably be a similar amount of savings or more even. So that may lead us to a point in time where our special assessment budget is going to force us to have to put that mill levy authority back in place. Several years ago, we had 4 mills for special assessments. As they got paid down, we lowered it to 1.75 and had a significant enough balance that we felt we didn't need to have any mills on a current basis. But now with these new ones coming online, we're probably going to be faced with that again. And I don't know if you got through the nutrition or the other funds. So we're going to probably plan on another planning committee meeting sometime still here in June. If we get everything from the park district in time and we can get the planning meeting in before our second meeting here in June, maybe we'll have it on the agenda for us to look at all those budgets. If not, we'll at least have a business item outside of the new officers, which is typically about all we have on the July meeting, unless we're dealing with the budget. So that's it from planning, and I think that's it from me.
Thank you. Did you have a question, John?
I did, Madam Chair, thank you. And one more point for planning and GAC and maybe other committees is we've all taken note of Mary Ann Smith's retirement and appreciation and extended our appreciation to her for her service to the district. Jim, my question is with regard to the North Dakota School Boards Association. If I recall, like typically in July, we're kind of sometimes at the last minute hit with the request for resolutions. And what's the timetable for resolutions this year? And if there are, whatever, so we have time to anticipate it in advance.
I don't have the actual date in front of me, but you are correct. They need to be submitted to state GAC. I want to say it'll be like by July 28th of this year. Now, that being said, if they're not, there's another way to get them through. You can bring them right to the floor. And again, typically in the off year of the legislative session, there are very few resolutions that even get presented, but that certainly is an opportunity.
Thank you. Dinah, do you have a report?
No, nothing from me today.
Okay, that brings us to the president's report. Well, my report as not the president, I have nothing to report other than it was really fun handing out diplomas for Woodrow Wilson and North. And I don't have any correspondence. I would imagine this being graduation week, beyond graduations, does anybody have any other liaison experiences to report? And no correspondence, so that brings us to other reports. John?
Nothing, Madam Chair.
Oh, Jim?
I think there's like 8 weeks to go.
Oh, yes, yes.
Door prize, door prize, door prize.
Thank you. And I'll also mention, and thanks for the reminder, John, that there will be a little get-together here in the district office on Thursday from 3 to 4 o'clock for both Cheryl and Mary Ann. So it would be nice if you could drop in. Any other business? Then our next meeting is June 23rd, and we are at debriefing. Any items for debriefing? We're adjourned. Thank you.